My name is Sandra Fitzgerald, and I'm 28 years old. I make my living with grease-stained hands, hydraulic lifts, and a toolbox worth more than my car. I'm an automotive diagnostic technician, the person other mechanics call when they're out of answers. My dad used to say, "If you can fix what other people fear, you'll never go hungry." He taught me everything until the day his heart gave out in the workshop when I was 23. I've been on my own since then. Stable job, stable income, stable apartment, stable everything. Maybe too stable. My friend Cassidy calls me the calm in everyone else's chaos. I never expected that chaos would come in the form of a man named Vincent Hale. It all started 8 months ago, on a Tuesday that felt like any other. I was grabbing a sandwich on my lunch break when I noticed a guy in a fitted dress shirt standing beside a stalled Honda CR-V, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. He was handsome, dark hair, clean jawline, the distracted look of someone juggling 3 deadlines in his head. His tie was crooked. His face was pinched with frustration. He popped the hood and just stared into it, completely lost. I hesitated for half a second. I've approached strangers before, but sometimes men get weird when a woman knows more about engines than they do. Still, I saw the helplessness on his face. "Need a hand?" I asked, keeping my tone light. He turned, startled, then relieved. "Oh, thank God, I have no idea what I'm looking at." 10 minutes later, after cleaning his corroded battery terminals and reseating the clamps, his car roared back to life. His entire expression brightened like someone turned on a light inside him. "I seriously owe you," he said. "Can I pay you? Venmo you? Buy you lunch? Something?" I shook my head. "Just paying it forward." He laughed nervously. "No, really, you're amazing. I'm Vincent, by the way. I work in marketing downtown. Let me at least get your number, in case the car does that again." I shouldn't have read into it. I know that now. But back then, when a handsome, charming man asks for your number after you just jump-started his day, it felt like something. Cassidy didn't agree. Later that night, I told her how we'd exchanged a few friendly texts. Her response was immediate. "Sandra, he's going to use you for car stuff. I can smell it through the phone." "He just wanted advice," I insisted. Cassidy snorted. "Sure, and I only follow my ex on Instagram for research. Please, be careful." But I ignored her. I liked how Vincent spoke to me. Warm, grateful, easygoing. We started texting more. Memes, work frustrations, jokes about Austin traffic. Nothing flirtatious, but it felt promising. 2 weeks later, he texted, "Hey Sandra, my check engine light came on. Mind taking a quick look?" A quick look turned into a faulty oxygen sensor, which turned into him worrying about repair costs, which turned into me offering to install it for free. "Are you sure?" he asked, eyes wide with relief. "God, you're kind. Seriously, thank you." I spent 30 minutes fixing it, and 2 hours after that eating barbecue with him as he told me about growing up in Dallas, how expensive Austin rent was, how marketing stressed him out. I found myself leaning forward without realizing it, drawn in by his voice, his stories, the way he looked at me like I was grounded enough to steady him. When I told Cassidy, she groaned loudly into the phone. "He bought you a $15 dinner after you saved him $300. Girl, that's not a date. That's a coupon." "You're being cynical," I protested. "No, I'm being correct." I brushed her off. I thought she just didn't see what I saw, the possibility. But the favors kept growing. His kitchen sink clogged, his TV mount loosened, his bathroom door jammed, his bike tire deflated, his toilet wouldn't stop running. And every time he'd say something like, "You're seriously a lifesaver. God, what would I do without you? No wonder you're so good at your job." Those little compliments were like crumbs leading me forward. But then came the day everything changed. It was early April, a brutally busy week at the dealership. My phone buzzed with 3 missed calls and 2 texts from Vincent. "Emergency. My car is making a horrible noise. Please call me." I stepped into the parts room and dialed him. "Sandra, thank God," he breathed, sounding genuinely shaken. "My engine is knocking. Loud. Like something metal is punching something else metal." I pulled over. "I'm scared to even start it again." "Don't drive it," I said immediately. "Tell me where you are." He dropped a pin. I arranged a tow to the dealership and spent the next hour worrying. When I finally checked the car, my heart sank. Oil nearly gone. Bearings fried. Damage everywhere. When I called him with the verdict, needing a used engine replacement, $3,000 minimum, he sounded devastated. "I don't have that," he whispered. "I barely have 300. Is there any way you could help me?" Maybe do it at your uncle's shop? I could pay you back slowly. I swear I will. I need my car. This was the moment I should have said no, should have drawn a line, should have remembered Cassidy's warnings and my uncle's raised eyebrow whenever Vincent's name came up. Instead, I told him I'd think about it. That night, my uncle didn't sugarcoat it. Sandra, he said, wiping his hands on an old rag, you like this man. Maybe. And does he like you, or does he like what you can do for him? I didn't answer. He sighed. A man who wants your heart will ask for your time. A man who wants your skills will ask for your labor. Which one is he? I hated how much that question hurt. But the next day, when Vincent texted again, please, I'm desperate, I made my decision. I'll do it, I told him. I'll find a used engine. We'll use my uncle's shop. You can pay me back whenever. The relief in his voice was overwhelming. Sandra, you're saving my life. I don't know how to thank you. I knew how I wished he would thank me. Just once. I wanted him to choose me, not my tools. As I hung up, something inside me flickered. Hope, fear, a dangerous mix. I didn't know it yet, but I was about to spend 2 weekends rebuilding an engine and tearing down the last illusions I had about him. For the next 2 weekends, my life revolved around one thing, rebuilding Vincent's engine. Every morning, I walked into my uncle's shop long before sunrise. The air always smelled of oil, cold metal, and old memories, the same scent that clung to my childhood. My dad used to say engines were like people. If you listen carefully, you can hear exactly where they're hurting. And Vincent's engine was hurting everywhere. I pulled the used engine from the crate, inspected every hose, every bolt, every seam. My hands moved on muscle memory, but my mind kept drifting to him. The way he smiled when he was relieved. The way his voice softened when he said my name. Dangerous thoughts, hopeful thoughts. Thoughts that made 12-hour shifts feel strangely light. My uncle didn't say much, just watched occasionally with that look, the one that said he'd already predicted how this story would end, but he respected that I needed to find out for myself. By Sunday night of the first weekend, my back was aching, my arms trembling, my face streaked with grease. When Cassidy stopped by with iced coffee, she nearly dropped both cups. Oh my God, Sandra, you look like you've been living under that car. I basically have, I muttered. She set the drinks down and folded her arms. You're doing an engine swap for a man who hasn't taken you on a single date. What is this, a charity sponsored by Delusion? Cass, I sighed, he needs help. So do you, babe. Help letting go of fantasy Vincent and seeing real Vincent? But I didn't want to let go. Not yet. The second weekend was worse. Muscles sore, sleep deprived, and emotionally tangled. Still, when it came time to torque the head bolts, align the mounts, reconnect the wiring harness, and refill fluids, I felt confident. Focused. When I finally turned the key, the engine hummed. Perfectly. I exhaled so deeply it felt like something uncoiled inside my chest. Vincent arrived 20 minutes later, breathless, face flushed like he'd run all the way from his apartment. His eyes lit up when he heard the engine running. You actually did it, he whispered. Then he hugged me. A full, tight, grateful hug, warm chest against mine, arms around my shoulders. And that was the moment I made my biggest emotional mistake. I believed it meant something. Seriously, Sandra, I don't know how to repay you. You're incredible. I smiled, heart pounding. Maybe you could repay me with dinner, a real one. For a split second, his expression didn't change. Then it did, barely, but enough. A tiny step back, a polite smile tightening, a flicker of discomfort behind his eyes. Sandra, wow, you're sweet, really sweet, but there it was, the word that erases every hope. I just don't see you that way. You're dependable, solid, stable, someone I trust completely, but romantically? I've always gone for guys who are more adventurous, more exciting, someone who keeps me on my toes. I felt heat rise to my face. My hands went cold. I understand, I said quietly. No, I swear, it's not you. You're amazing, really. I still want to hang out. You're such an important person in my life. I just don't want things to get weird. Sure, I said, no problem. He hugged me again, gently this time, like comforting a child. And then he drove away in the car I rebuilt for him. I held my composure until I got home. Then I sat on the edge of my bed and let the silence surround me. The kind of silence that makes you finally see yourself clearly. I had given him my time, my skill, my energy, my weekends, my hope. He had given me politeness. Nothing more. The next morning, I received a long text from him. A novel, really. Hey, Sandra, I just want to clarify what I meant yesterday. You're great, but not really girlfriend material for me. You're the dependable type, the kind that's better as a friend. I need someone who challenges me, someone unpredictable, someone with a little more edge. Hope you understand. I stared at the message 3 times. The dependable type, the stable option. Not thrilling enough to date, but perfect enough to fix his life for free. Then I typed, understood, and pressed send. I deleted his number, deleted our messages, removed him from my social media. Not blocked. That felt too dramatic. Just gone. Clean. Cassidy called that night. Outrage already loaded into every syllable. He said, "What? What? Girl, the only edge he has is the one of his entitlement." I laughed weakly. "I'm fine." "No, you're not. You're heartbroken and exhausted and pretending you're fine. But listen, this is good. You cut him off before you wasted another ounce of your emotional energy." She wasn't wrong. Over the next few weeks, my life felt lighter. My apartment felt like mine again. My phone didn't buzz constantly. My mind wasn't waiting for a text that might lead somewhere. It felt peaceful. For the first time in months, I wasn't being tugged by someone else's needs. And then 3 weeks later, my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something nudged me to answer. "Hello? Sandra? Hey, it's Vincent." My stomach tightened. He didn't sound flirty or friendly. He sounded needy. "My brakes are making this weird squeaking noise. Could you take a quick look? I don't want to get ripped off by a shop." I closed my eyes. Here it was. The moment Cassidy had predicted. The moment my uncle warned me about. The moment I had to decide who I was going to be. I inhaled. "I can't help you," I said simply. "I'm busy." "Oh, what about tomorrow or next week?" "Busy then too." A stunned silence, like no one had ever told him no before. "Sandra, is this about what I said? Are you really being this cold?" "I'm not being cold," I said calmly. "Just unavailable." "Wow," he snapped, voice rising. "After everything we've been through, I thought we were friends. Friends help each other." But he wasn't looking for a friend. He was looking for a tool. "Well," I said softly, "I'm not available." Then I hung up. My hand trembled, not from fear, from freedom. For the first time, I had chosen me over him. And I had no idea how far he would go to punish me for it. The day after I told Vincent no, I expected silence, maybe even relief. But men like Vincent don't disappear when you stop being helpful. They escalate. I was elbow deep in an engine bay at work when my phone buzzed. Then buzzed again. Then again. "Vincent, I can't believe you're abandoning me. You're being childish. I was honest with you about my feelings and now you're punishing me?" Punishing him for finally setting a boundary. I wiped my hands on a rag, stared at the messages, and locked my phone without responding. I didn't owe him an explanation for withdrawing from a dynamic he'd taken for granted. My silence only made him angrier. By evening, my phone lit up again. "Vincent, wow, I misjudged you. I thought you were a good person. I guess people show their true colors when they don't get what they want. Real friends don't disappear over a simple rejection." A bitter laugh escaped me. A simple rejection? The same rejection he delivered after I rebuilt his engine? Cassidy called before I even had time to tell her what happened. She didn't say hello. She just launched straight in. "Okay, so you ignored him. Correct. Correct. And now he's spiraling. Also correct. Very. And you didn't respond at all?" "Nope." "Good." She exhaled sharply. "Sandra, he doesn't want a friend. He wants free labor with emotional seasoning." "That's actually poetic," I said. "I'm furious for you," she continued, "but also wildly proud. Did your hand shake when you hung up on him?" "Yes." The sign of a woman discovering self-worth. It didn't stop with texts. 2 days later, I opened Instagram during lunch, mistake number 1, and immediately saw comments on an old photo of my truck. Taylor, one of Vincent's friends. Some people really show who they are when they don't get what they want. Under a picture of a vehicle, a truck. I sighed and closed the app. Then a DM popped up from another woman I barely knew, Brittany, who had always struck me as a professional meddler. Brittany, "Hey, Vincent is really upset. He said you cut him off completely after he was honest with you? That's really messed up, Sandra. He trusted you. You shouldn't treat people like they're disposable." Disposable? Me? The woman who spent 2 weekends on her back beneath his car? I didn't reply. I didn't engage. I didn't defend myself. That's when Cassidy texted. "Cassidy, girl, do not respond. Do not feed the crows. Block the entire birdhouse." I sent back a single thumbs up. Because she was right. Once you argue with someone committed to misunderstanding you, you've already lost. Then came the post. Not a direct call-out, no names, no details, but vague enough to sound noble and specific enough that anybody who knew us both would put the pieces together. Vincent's post. It's sad when you realize someone was only nice to you because they wanted something. The second you set boundaries, they turn cold. Ladies, protect your hearts. Some people only help to manipulate you later. Manipulate me? I actually choked on my coffee when I read it. The comments rolled in. Ugh, I've been there. Fake nice people are the worst. You dodged a bullet, babe. I could have responded. I could have told the truth. I could have posted screenshots of every message where he begged for favors, every request, every guilt trip. But that would mean entering his arena, and I was done playing his games. I deleted the app again. A week passed, then another. Life was calm, peaceful, uneventful, until Wednesday afternoon at the dealership. I was checking diagnostics on a Subaru when Kevin, the guy in the next bay, poked his head around the lift with a smirk. You know a guy named, Vincent Hale? My heart dipped. Unfortunately. Well, he said, lowering his voice, he's in the waiting room right now, and he is losing it. My stomach clenched, but curiosity nudged me forward. When I reached the waiting area, I could hear him before I saw him. This is ridiculous! You're scamming me! There's no way a radiator and water pump costs that much. Rebecca, our service advisor, patient, calm, absolutely unshakable, was explaining for the third time. Sir, these are standard prices. The cooling system is severely compromised. If you don't repair it, the engine will overheat and you'll face far higher costs. Then she noticed me and waved subtly. Sandra, she corrected. Can you help explain this? Vincent spun around. His eyes widened when he saw me. Embarrassment, shock, then indignation, swelling like a balloon he couldn't control. Oh, he snapped. Of course you work here. He gestured wildly. So? Are you going to tell them to give me a discount, or are you still busy? I kept my tone professional. Your cooling system is failing. If you keep driving it, you'll blow your head gasket. Rebecca's quote is fair. He crossed his arms. I can't afford that. You know I can't. Rebecca glanced between us, eyebrows raised. I remained steady. Then I suggest financing or getting quotes elsewhere. You're really doing this? He demanded, voice rising. After everything I told you, everything we, I repeated quietly. A few customers froze mid-sip of their coffee. An older couple looked up from their magazines. Rebecca stiffened. Sir, you need to lower your voice. Vincent's face went red. He grabbed his keys from the counter. You know what? I'll find a place that actually cares about people instead of squeezing every penny from them. He shoved the door open so hard the bell clanged violently. Then he stormed out. Silence followed, the kind that fills a room after a scene people will tell their families about later. Rebecca turned to me carefully. Friend of yours? Not anymore, I said. That night, over our Tuesday wings tradition, Cassidy slammed her fist on the table. He threw a tantrum in your workplace because you wouldn't give him free labor? That's not a man. That's a toddler with facial hair. I snorted into my drink. Yeah, it was surreal. You should wear a cape, she declared. You handled that with God-tier composure. But inside, something ached. Not for him. That part had died already. It was the ache of recognition. He didn't value me. He valued access to me. My uncle put it even simpler when I visited his shop the next day. People rewrite the story however they need to, he said. Some because they can't face the truth. Others because they need to be the hero in their own minds. Which one is he? I asked. My uncle shrugged. Sometimes there's no difference. A week later, I heard through the grapevine that Vincent had taken his car to a budget repair shop, the kind that charges half the price and does a quarter of the work. They replaced only the thermostat, nothing else. I closed my eyes. Cassidy's voice echoed in my head. Natural consequences are coming, babe. Buckle up. And she was right. Because when you stop rescuing someone who refuses to rescue themselves, things fall apart, fast. 2 weeks after Vincent stormed out of the dealership, the universe finally cashed the check he'd been writing with his ego. It was a Friday afternoon when Kevin stuck his head into my bay again. Same amused expression, same barely contained smirk. You're not going to believe this, he said. Remember Vincent? I didn't look up from the engine I was calibrating. What about him? His grin widened. Blew his entire cooling system. Catastrophic failure on the highway. Tow truck dropped his CRV at some bargain shop across town. Word is, they gave him the bill. I paused mid-torque. What bill? I asked, even though I already felt the answer forming in my gut. Kevin whistled. $5,000. I blinked slowly. The math added up. Cheap shop. Partial repairs. Ignored warnings. Overheat. War page. Head gasket failure. Possible crack in the block. A perfect disaster. He's probably losing his mind right now, Kevin added, shaking his head. Guy tried to save money but ended up paying double. I didn't say a single word. I didn't gloat. I didn't smirk. Instead, an unexpected feeling leaked in. Not triumph, relief. For the first time, Vincent's problems were not my responsibility. He didn't wait long before trying to reach me. That night, my phone lit up with an unknown number. I let it ring out. Then it rang again, and again. On the fourth call, he left a voicemail. My thumb hovered over the play button for a long moment. Then I tapped it. His voice sounded different. Hey, Sandra, I know we haven't talked. I know things got weird, but please, listen. I'm in trouble. My engine's blown, like completely dead, and I don't know what to do. I can't afford this, not even close. A shaky breath, then another. I'm sorry, I mean it. I shouldn't have yelled at the dealership. I shouldn't have said those things about you. I was stressed and scared, and please, just call me back. I really need your help. Please. The message ended. For 5 seconds, I felt the old instinct twitch. That mechanic's reflex, that helper's reflex, that Sandra who rescues reflex. 5 seconds. Then I deleted the voicemail. By morning, the tone had changed. Vincent, are you seriously ignoring me? After everything? I apologized. Don't be petty. I muted the conversation. Then another number messaged me. Taylor. Sandra, seriously? Vincent's going through hell. He said you won't even respond? That's cold. Muted. Then Brittany. He told us what happened. It's messed up that you refuse to help him now when he's really struggling. Muted. Cassidy texted right after. Cassidy. Block them all. You're not a community mechanic. You're not a crisis hotline. You're not his emotional TPA service. I sent her a photo of a thumbs up and kept working. Over the next week, life settled into a rhythm I'd forgotten I missed. I went to the gym regularly, started helping my uncle more, cooked actual meals instead of takeout, picked up a book I'd abandoned 3 months earlier. The absence of Vincent's chaos made everything brighter, calmer, quieter. Peaceful in the way a garage feels after the air compressor shuts off, a silence that lets you hear yourself again. My uncle noticed. You look lighter, he said while wiping down a workbench, like someone took a backpack off your shoulders. I guess I stopped carrying someone who never carried me, I replied. He grinned. Good. Now here's the thing nobody tells you. Once you stop enabling someone, the universe stops punishing you for their mistakes. Vincent, meanwhile, was spiraling. I didn't talk to him, didn't see him, didn't hear his voice. But Austin is small, and gossip travels faster than traffic. A customer who worked near Vincent's office casually mentioned, some guy named Vincent had to get a rental car for a week because the shop kept finding more damage. Guy looked like he was about to cry in the lobby. Another mechanic from a sister dealership texted Kevin, Bro, isn't Sandra the one who fixed that guy's engine? He's telling people she refused to help him in his darkest moment. Cassidy cackled when I told her, Oh my God, the audacity! He broke his own engine, ignored your professional advice, stomped all over your boundaries, and now he's selling a tragic opera where you're the villain who closed the curtain. Pretty much, I sighed. At this point, she said, wiping tears from laughing, his life isn't falling apart. It's simply returning to owner. The following Tuesday, I got off work early. I stopped by a local cafe, one I never used to visit when my schedule revolved around Vincent's needy texts. While waiting for my drink, someone sat down at the table next to mine. A man in a soft blue button-down shirt, sleeves rolled neatly, hair slightly tousled. I didn't know him. He didn't know me. But he noticed the grease on my hands and said, Mechanic? Yeah, I replied, surprised. How'd you guess? He nodded toward the faint smudges on my forearms. My sister works in aviation maintenance. Same look, strong hands, quiet confidence. I blinked, not used to being seen for who I was, instead of what I could do. What do you do? I asked. Software engineer, he said with a small smile. But don't worry, I only fix bugs that I personally created. I laughed, genuinely, and he laughed too. It wasn't flirtation, it wasn't tension, it wasn't anything heavy. Just human, easy, light. A reminder that the world held people who didn't treat me like an open toolbox. When I left the cafe, I felt something new in my chest. Not hope for romance. Hope for myself. That night, my phone vibrated again. Another unknown number, another voicemail. I didn't listen. I deleted it instantly, wiped my hands on my coveralls, and returned to work. Because for the first time, Vincent's crisis didn't pull me back into the wreckage. I had finally learned the difference between helping someone and being used by them, and I wasn't going back. The voicemail count reached 7 before I finally turned off notifications completely. Every number was unfamiliar. Every call went unanswered. Every message went unheard. And every one of them belonged to Vincent. The more I ignored him, the clearer my mind became, like someone slowly turning down the volume on a noise I didn't even realize had been hurting my ears for months. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. A week later, while I was reorganizing a tray of torque bits at the dealership, Rebecca wandered over with her usual calm expression. "Hey, random question," she said. "Didn't you used to know a guy named Vincent? Tall, dark hair, dramatic energy?" I smirked. "Unfortunately, yes." "Well," she said, leaning against my toolbox, "one of the tow truck drivers mentioned he saw him earlier. Apparently his car is still in pieces at that budget shop. Something about the coolant system melting twice?" "Twice?" I repeated. She nodded. "They replaced the thermostat but didn't address the impeller damage. Then when they tried to fix it cheap again, they stripped 2 bolts and cracked the housing. The shop's saying they might not be able to salvage the engine at all." I swallowed. "That's rough." "Yeah," she said softly. "But you know what else? Not your problem." Those 4 words felt like a blessing. Not my problem. I said it in my head like a prayer. That evening, I finally broke my no social media streak, curiosity nudging me to scroll. I checked Vincent's profile, not because I cared, but because I wanted closure. His page was quiet. No gym selfies, no brunch photos, no vague philosophical captions pretending to be deep. Just one new post. A photo of a rental car key on a counter. Caption: "Some lessons are expensive." The comments were sympathetic, oblivious. "Ugh, car trouble sucks. Hope things get better soon. My dude, you have the worst luck." Luck, sure. If luck means ignoring maintenance, discarding advice, insulting the one person who helped you, and trusting the cheapest shop in town with major engine work. I closed the app and put my phone face down. No more checking, no more wondering, no more backward glances. One evening, while cleaning up the shop, my uncle handed me a folded paper towel. Inside it were 2 small dusty items: my dad's old spark plug gapper and the tiny brass feeler gauge he used for demonstrations. "I found these in a drawer," he said. "Thought you might want to carry them again." My throat tightened. "I didn't know you still had these." He shrugged. "Your dad never threw anything away, especially not tools." I ran my thumb over the familiar metal ridges. The weight of them brought back a flood of memories. Helping him in the garage after school, the way he'd say, "Listen, engines talk. You just need patience to hear them." I took a breath. "You know what's funny?" I said quietly. "I spent months listening to Vincent's problems the way Dad taught me to listen to engines. But unlike engines, he never wanted to understand himself." My uncle smiled gently. "And that's why engines will always treat you better than some people." "True," I laughed. "Engines don't argue back." "Engines don't rewrite history when they're wrong," he added. That part landed deeper, because Vincent had rewritten everything. I just finally stopped reading his version. 2 days later, I ran into that guy from the cafe, the one in the soft blue shirt who recognized the grease patterns on my arms. His name was Daniel. He was standing in line at a hardware store holding a basket of screws, brackets, and a level that had definitely never been used. He spotted me and grinned. "Hey, the mechanic who laughs at bug fixes." "And you're the engineer who creates bugs to fix," I replied. He looked embarrassed. "Touché." We talked only a few minutes. Small talk about work, tools, Austin's terrible parking. Simple, easy conversation. He didn't ask me to fix anything. He didn't hint at wanting a favor. He didn't place his problems in my hands. When I left the store, I didn't feel butterflies. Not romance, not fear. I felt possibility. What it felt like to be treated simply as a person, not a resource. Of course, Vincent tried one last time. They always do. There's always a final surge before the line goes flat. Another voicemail arrived from an unknown number. But this time, curiosity didn't get the better of me. I didn't listen, didn't hover over the play button, didn't let his voice back into my head. I deleted it without a flicker of hesitation. Because that version of me, the woman who would have dropped everything to help, who believed kindness could substitute for reciprocity, who thought effort could earn love, she didn't exist anymore. I built her from scratch. And now I'd rebuilt her stronger. A week later, as I stood in my bay, tightening the last bolt of the day, Kevin passed by with a grin. "You hear about Vincent?" I didn't look up. "No, and I don't need to." He chuckled. "Good answer." Then he paused, more serious. "You know, I've seen a lot of people get walked on in this business. Folks who give too much and get nothing back. You? You learned when to stop. That's rare." I tightened the bolt. "Well, engines warn you before they fail. People don't." "Ha," he said. "Fair point." He walked away, and I lowered the hood slowly, staring at the reflection of my own face in the polished paint. Not tired, not regretful, not bitter. Just steady. Maybe Vincent never saw me as relationship material, but that wasn't my flaw. It was his limitation. Stability isn't boring. Dependability isn't dull. Being the calm in chaos isn't a weakness. It's a strength. And someone out there will value those things the way I do. Until then, I'm Sandra Fitzgerald. I fix engines.